What's going on, guys? It's your boy, your host, George Mackay, back in studio again today, pre-recorded, and I got a good one. I'm here with a rejuvenation of the wrestling valet. I'm here with the one and only Ashley Slashey. How are you?
Hello, the first person to say it correctly and spell it correctly.
That's what I do. I do my
Nailed it.
research. I nail my names properly. I do all the important things.
I will vouch for that.
So, it's great to have you on the show because wrestling valets,
Thank you.
they are a dying art in the world of professional wrestling.
Yes.
They're there, but they're not there. So it makes for
Everyone I've ever valeted with has retired, basically.
There you go.
Everyone I've started with or who were already like veterans of it when I started, gone. And I'm like, hello? Where y'all go? Okay.
So
Bye.
talk to me about falling in love with wrestling. I call it the defining moment. So when was the moment that you, Ashley, fell in love with this business?
Oof. I was big time marketing because we all start as marks, of course, whether assholes want to admit it or not. You started out as a fan. If you want to admit it or not, you know you started as a fan of somebody. And if you don't want to admit it, then you're just fucking lying. So you didn't just fall into a ring and just be like, oh fuck, what am I doing here? No. Because there is like some Johnny Muscles that wants to tell you, nah, no, you didn't just end up there, bruh. You didn't. It didn't just happen to you one day. Somewhere along the line, you watched somebody and was like, fuck yeah, I love this man. And for me, that man was Sean Layfield. And I was like, hello. One day I would like to impress you very much. And I was like, I'm gonna start going to shows and I'm gonna hold a sign and I'm gonna be like, yay, notice me, senpai. So I did. And then I started finding indie wrestling and local shows, as you do, if you're cool. If not, you suck. So that's just how it is. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
All the best people are basically on the indies. So when you go to your local indie show, you find some of the best workers ever and some of your amazing veterans that they're just not letting on TV for some reason anymore because people are stupid. And along the ways of loving wrestling as a child or a teenager or whatever, I was like, oh my God, I fucking love Dusty Rhodes. How cute are you? Because I'm a big simp or whatever. And I was like, I want to go see him. He's at an indie show? I don't know what this is. So I went, and that was my first indie show. And I was like, I love these random people that I've never heard of before. They're so good. And they were. Mm-hmm. They're some of the best people you don't see on TV because they're not getting showcased. They're not getting noticed unless someone puts out their product on the internet now, because now you have everything to see.
Right.
Which is awesome. So I wore a mini dress, a black mini dress with yellow polka dots on it. And Dusty Rhodes said, why don't you come in the ring? And I said, hello? Hi, what? Me? I've never been in a ring before. And I was basically Sapphire that night, which thus launched my valet career.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. And so you valeted for the great Dusty Rhodes, but you've also valeted for his son, if I'm not mistaken, as well, right? You valeted for Dustin as well.
Goldust.
Goldust. Did you do the?
Yep.
Did you do the? When you came out
Well,
with him, did you do that?
he did that because that's his thing.
That's his thing. Did you
And
smoke
I
a
just
stogie next to him,
there.
like Terry Reynolds used to do? Did you smoke a stogie next to him?
I didn't. It's a family-friendly show.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I just rubbed up on him a little, and that was it.
That was that. That was that.
That was
Wow.
that.
So Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, brought you
My
in the ring, and
show
you had like a
ever.
moment with him. That's incredible.
Yep. So my first show ever.
Wow.
The first show, the first indie show, the first show I worked. Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes.
The only one I got into is Cody Rhodes.
Well,
So
we're gonna have to work on getting AEW on the phone. We're gonna have to start tweeting Tony Khan and say, listen, she's already done the dad and the one brother. Let's work out the family here. I don't mean done that way. I mean like she's already valeted for them. You've got to let her valet for Cody.
did a cute kiss on the forehead.
Yeah, but also too, Brandi's gonna be off TV soon. She's pregnant, so he's gonna need somebody to fill in.
I didn't know that. Oh,
You didn't know that Brandi was. Oh yeah, they are expecting the first addition to the Cody Rhodes family.
The fourth generation.
That's right. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty epic, man. Pretty epic.
I'm so happy. She's so nice. I met her once backstage at WWE, and she was so cute and so friendly. And I was like, "You're even prettier in person." Because I'm a big complimenter for no reason. And I was just like, "Wow, you're really pretty." But I have a problem with complimenting people, and sometimes people think it's not genuine. But I will compliment the crap out of everybody.
Fair enough.
And I was like, yeah, and I was like, "You're so pretty." Wow. I was like, oh, and she was so kind. And I'm like, oh, I'm so happy. Oh, that's so cute. I can't wait to see what their baby looks like. It's probably gonna be perfect. Oh, I'm so happy. That's the best news ever. Oh.
Yes. So back to you. So your first indie show, you work with Dusty. He brings you in the ring. It's kind of a huge deal, and then that starts your journey, I guess, as a valet. But I also know you're training as well, right? Or are you an active wrestler at this point?
Well, there's Corona out there, so no.
Right. No, but I mean, are you still training when you get the time, or were you a wrestler before COVID kind of hit you?
Before COVID, yes, and then I got in a car accident, so no. But with COVID, everyone I know who's actively working has had Corona. So go me for not actively working. And then I have a horrible injury. So I am just awaiting surgery, and then I'll be back to training. So yay.
Yeah. What was the injury that you had?
I have to get a spine surgery. Oof. Which will suck.
Yes.
And possibly a hip surgery. But for most of Corona, so like a year, basically, I was not able to walk, and now I am. So yay. And I was also not able to move my arm. So now I am. So yay. Thanks, physical therapy.
For sure. Absolutely. Well, that is great news. I hope the surgery does go well, and I hope you are able to get back actively into wrestling once, COVID passes us by. But the one good thing, I guess, about this is that, like you kind of mentioned there, COVID has kind of allowed the body to heal a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like trying to look at that bright side of it.
Yeah.
Because oof, every single person I know who's worked has been like, yeah, I won't get COVID. And then you're like, so how you doing? And they're like, I got COVID. And I'm like, no.
I love the face you just made there. It's like, so how you doing? I got COVID. Oh, you did. And it's good though that you're probably talking to them on the phone and not like over FaceTime, so you can make that face.
And I'm like,
yeah.
How did that work out for you?
Yeah. It's a big old fuck you from the world, isn't it? Yeah, they told you to stay inside. They told you to social distance. She didn't listen. You didn't listen.
And then you get like those anti-mask people, and they're like, I don't need no mask. And then you're like, did you learn?
Yeah. Have you written your wrongs? Have you written 1,000 times on a chalkboard that you're sorry? You're stupid and you're sorry.
And there's so I have a bunch of really cool masks that like people either like make for me or whatever, or like my friends make, and then I'll be like, oh, cool, kind of like buy one and support your like small business or whatever. Because all my friends are crafty, and I'm like, can I get one of those? Because like they're really cool. And then like you get like the one or two anti-mask people on your page, and you're like, hey, fuck bag, you doing good? And they're like, can I get one? Because you got one that's cool, and I already had corona and I don't want it again. And you're like, yeah, you stupid bitch.
You can get one.
Here we go.
You can get one, but I'll give you one for $20. $20. I usually charge 10, but for you, 20.
You're gonna get the stupidity prize.
Yeah, inflation. Inflation and stupidity comes all in one cost. So your body's been allowed to heal. We've got the surgery scheduled. You're coming back.
Yup.
I wanna talk to you more about, I guess, where the evolution of the character came from. I'm sure this is probably you just turned up to 10, but where, like, I've seen your Instagram is fantastic. You have over 30, almost close to 30,000 followers. Your
Yes.
pictures are phenomenal. You're also not only a model, you're a valet, like we discussed. You're also a pro wrestler, but currently injured right now. And you're also on Twitch. I'm assuming you're streaming, you're doing the game thing. So how's that working? Because I'm a gamer. I don't stream on Twitch, but I do enjoy my videos.
I just started streaming.
You just did? So what are you streaming? Like,
So,
what are you currently streaming? What are you playing? When you're on there?
mostly Dead by Daylight and then Fortnite.
Nice.
Don't hate me. I play Fortnite sometimes.
Nothing wrong with that. My daughter plays Fortnite. It's all good.
Yeah. So I also have like another like side job. So I left wrestling for a little bit and I started a charity foundation for children.
Fantastic.
And I like dress up as princesses or Marvel characters or whatever. And I just visit kids at the hospital or at charity events, like walkathons or whatever have you. And like sometimes there'll be like moments where kids don't have families or parents or whatever have you. Like maybe they were like in the adoption system, or sometimes the most heartbreaking part, sometimes the families can't handle it. Sometimes like mom or dad just can't handle the fact that their child is dying, and they'll say like, oh, like their goodbye part, and then they'll just leave like while their child is still alive, and that's that. And that's where I come in, and then I'll sit as like Elsa or Hawkeye from the Avengers or whatever. Rocket Raccoon is like my main big costume. So I'll sit there and I'll just hold their hand. We'll talk, we'll play games like Fortnite, or so that's like why I play Fortnite, because they'll be like, oh my God, V-Bucks. And I'm like, what the hell's a V-Buck? Or well, I don't say hell, but I'm like, well, if I'm a Marvel character, I can. Well, if I'm Tony Stark, I'll be like, hell's a V-Buck? But if I'm Elsa, I'll be like, we don't have V-Bucks in Arendelle. So what is that? Wow, you use guns? Maybe you can join the Arendellian forces. So, I don't know. And then you just sit with them and you like just have a good time, and then they just slowly pass away and you're there for their final moments, and then the parents are just off in like the waiting room or whatever. And then they'll come in or not, whatever their choice is afterwards. Sometimes they don't come back, that they've already had their moment, and then like the priest will come in, or like the last rites people, or the coroner, whatever. And then I'll handle that from there. Then I'll be like, this is the child, this is their information. So I take on that role, and then the doctors will come in, and then I just go. And that's it.
Wow, that's.
And then you have fun events.
Yeah, for sure. But that's a lot.
Then you have like your March of Dimes, and we actually went international. Like my foundation went international with March of Dimes, and now there's a superhero fun run with all the survivors of March of Dimes. So all the preemies get to run with a superhero. They like pick out a superhero. So like sometimes like I change my costume every year. So I went as Doctor Strange one year, and I was just screwing around with Batgirl. I wasn't paying attention. I was just off doing shenanigans, and I'm like over here, and then I hear like very distantly, I just hear like Doctor Strange, and I'm like, I didn't even like fully turn around. I was like, like here, and then I just like got completely like blown over, and I like fell, and this like little tiny itty bitty child had like just knocked me down, and we were just on the floor, and he's like, oh my god, I love you so much, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, you're really strong, and he's like, I know, I just took you down and you're a superhero. Like, wow. I'm like, we should recruit you to the Avengers, shouldn't we? And he's like, oh my god, really? And I'm like, yeah, of course. I'm like, let's go talk to Captain America. So like our Captain America is actually like in the army.
Oh, okay.
So like, and he's like really above and beyond being Captain, like he lives and breathes being Captain America. So it's like really cool. So sometimes he has like a tank or like an actual like army vehicle or plane or something, just come on in. And the kids are like, holy crap. So it's cool. So I've been doing that for like 5 years or so.
Amazing.
And sometimes I go to Comic-Con, and it's nice and it's fun. So it's not all tragic.
But that first part that you mentioned, that's a lot for somebody to take on. But for you to take that on for the parents and for the child, it's kind of special in both ways, because you give that parents that little break, and you take on that role that nobody kind of wants to take on. So that's pretty awesome that you do that. And what's the name of the foundation?
The Band of Heroes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well,
So
we'll definitely have to make sure when we do the promo for this interview that I drop those where we can follow all that and where people can find it.
yes, we are on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Perfect.
I just went like house to house in my town as Elsa. I spent like 7 a.m. to like 8 p.m. at night just because kids go to bed early. Right. And I was like, hi, I'm Elsa.
And what were people's reactions? I have to ask, what were people's reactions?
Well, I had the parents sign up just so I knew like the kids were in the house and no one had COVID. And I was just like, oh my God, hi. And I brought gifts for all the kids because, you know, kids can't go out and I don't live in a great zone. Like my house is suburban or whatever, but like most of it around is like ghetto, I suppose.
Okay.
And I do most of the events around town. I go to like every event, like big thing around town happening. Like the town will put on like we have something called Duck Day, and it's just like some rubber ducks going down the river. Like this, nothing, but you know, it's all kids have to do in a place that's mostly gun violence. And then there's Elsa or Sleeping Beauty or Princess Peach. And then you're like, oh my God. And that's the closest experience they'll ever get to going to Disney. And you just kind of know that. And parents will like tell you that. And I'm like, yeah, I'll come to your house. I'll come to your birthday party for free. Don't give me $1. I don't want that. Like, I will come, I will bring you cake, and I will bring you a gift. Like, who charges for that? Just like some insensitive asshole? Like that. I'm like, we did.
It is a big business, though. People do make money off of it. A lot of money.
I know they do, but I judge those people like really hard. I'm like.
Do you judge them as hard as the people who don't wear masks?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right.
I really do.
Okay.
That's when they meet the kendo stick.
Okay, so talk to me. Talk to a lot of your handles, your social media handles. See, this interview is organic. It's just going everywhere. I love it. What is the play on the kendo stick that you have for a lot of your socials? Tell me about that.
Well, I can't bring a chainsaw into the ring.
No, you can't.
I can't. I could.
Did you just do air quotations as in I can't like that? Come, don't air quotate. You can't bring a chainsaw. You just can't.
So they say it's a danger, and they say I'll be irresponsible
Just
and
they're quoted danger and
might
irresponsible.
harm somebody,
Harm somebody. Yep.
and I might kill Mayor Mysterio. And what's all that might stuff about? Because you know I would.
So the kendo stick is the equal opportunity towards the chainsaw. It gets you that much closer to violence, but safe violence. Does that make sense?
I suppose they think it's safe
Okay.
because it's been used in the business a long time.
Long time. Steve Black made a living off of that thing. And
but I will make the chainsaw a dignified weapon one day.
Make the chainsaw great again.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Orange is sus. Take him out.
So back to the track of the character evolution of Ashley Slashey, because she doesn't just start off that way. Maybe it is you. Maybe it is turned up to 10. Where do we get where we are now with you? Like, you start off in the ring with Dusty Rhodes, you train, you do all that stuff. How did you find you? How did you find the character that you were? Or maybe this is always you. I'm not sure, because I'm introducing you to my audience for the first time.
I feel like when I started back in like when I came off of like training and everything, it was like 2015, and basically everyone was encouraged to look about the same. And especially when I was going to wrestling school, everyone was definitely encouraged to look the same.
And who was your trainer? Sorry, just to ask that question as well.
I had quite a few, but I was mostly trained by Just Incredible.
Perfect. Great guy.
And yes. And he did the most. Him and Jason Knight did the most as far as like training was concerned. So I credit them for most of my training and stuff like that. And then like I started talking to like people at like TNA and like WWE. And then that was like pre anything you see on TV now. So everyone was kind of encouraged to look exactly the same, which is like, instead of like your characters now, like when you see like Shotzi or Abaddon or somebody like that, when you're like, holy crap, they look incredible. Or even like someone who's still stereotypically beautiful, like Sasha, but then has like bright neon blue hair. That was still extremely discouraged back then. In 2015, that the blue hair would never fly. Like if she was still that in 2015, she wouldn't get away with that. She would have to have black hair or some natural color, or that would just not, she would not be on TV. Like they would just instantly change that until she looked completely natural.
Absolutely. Make everybody look like a robot, then everybody's the same. Nobody's an individual. Nobody.
Yep. So no one could look individualistic. Mm-hmm. And because of my like facial structure or whatever, I was deemed by most top companies that I looked a lot like Maurice.
I can see that.
So,
there is similarities there. There is.
Mm-hmm. So they were like, your face shape, your nose, your boobs, your body, a lot of you just looks like a very short Maurice. Take this sheet of paper, go off and adjust yourself properly until you look like a replica of this. And I was like, okay, cool. I already looked like that anyway because I had big blonde hair, like down to my butt. And they said, make it longer, make it blonder. And I said, okay, cool. So blonde became make it blonder, make it almost white. And then it was too white, make it blonder, make it a little bit more yellow so it looks more like Maurice. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then they're like, don't make it too blonde or you'll piss off people like Natalia, which I ended up doing.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So one of my times backstage, and I really like, I mean, like to me, I was just a kid. So like 2015 me was just like a child basically. And I'm like, I'm backstage at WWE and I'm like, oh my God, I love Natalia. I look up to her so much. I have posters of her everywhere. Like, she's like the icon to me. She's powerful. She's not like the other women. And she is getting away with like having pink streaks in her hair because her dynasty and who she is. And she's just a very powerful built woman. And she wrestles like no other. Like, she didn't come off of a modeling circuit. She truly worked her way into like she earned everything she has.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, wow, I just want to learn from you so much. I want to do everything you're doing because you're an icon. And she was really mean because I was blonde. And that was the only reason she didn't like me, because my hair was too blonde.
Oh.
And that was it.
Wow.
But it was just known that if you were blonde, she wouldn't like you because that was a threat to her place in the company.
Right.
And my heart broke into like 1,000 pieces. And I was like, why don't you like me? I didn't do anything. I'm really nice. I'm so friendly. I would look sadder, but my eyebrows are always drawn on. Why don't you like me? So that was that. And even though I was quite beloved by people like John Laurinaitis, you still have the top tier girls who make that final choice of, she looks too much like me, bye.
Right.
But then you still have the girls who are top tier, like Maurice, but behind the scenes, they're like, we do want to fire this girl, but we want someone who looks exactly like her to replace her.
Right.
And then I don't know if I was a factor in that situation. I don't think so. But the look of having girls like that was a factor in that.
Right.
And at the time, if you could get 1,000 girls that just looked that way, you had 1,000 choices to pick from. So it didn't matter. And then they ended up firing her anyway and replaced her with nobody. And then somewhere along the lines where I wasn't paying attention at all because my like brain was focused on charity stuff and not wrestling, a bunch of really cool girls came into the scene. And not only did they look different, but they could work. And it wasn't just about being pretty anymore. Because when I talk to other guys, like in like WWE or Impact, they were like, yeah, you don't have to know how to wrestle, right? You're doing a lot of training for a girl. Like, you don't have. Why are you training? Why are you here? Because I would go to workshops and just like sit there and learn, and then they're like, why is there a girl here? And I'm like, I'm here to learn. And they're like, there's a girl here. And I'm like, Justin, they're being mean to me. Why? What did I do? And then I would reach out to people on like Twitter or whatever. And I'd be like talking to like William Regal because we got on pretty well just because I'm not annoying. And backstage, I wouldn't like go up to people and be like, oh my God, wrestling question. I'd be like, hi, you have lizards. I also have a lizard. Would you like to talk about that? And we got on really good because I don't ask annoying questions. And that's refreshing to people who just have to sit there and hear the same fucking question 1,000 times. Like, I don't know. I got on really well with Goldust because everyone backstage wanted to ask him 1,000 fucking questions about whatever the fuck. And I just plopped down and I opened up a fucking book and minded my own goddamn business. And he was like, what the fuck are you reading? That looks like bullshit. And I was like, I'm reading a book about turkeys. And he was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I have pet turkeys. So that explains the book. And he was like, why do you have pet turkeys? I'm like, I think they're cute. And he's like, so you're reading about it? And I'm like, proper husbandry. And he's like, wow, I like you. You're smart. And I'm like, thanks. I like you too. You're very talented. I won't bother you. I'll just read my book. And he was like, no, come sit with me. So you make friends by not fucking bothering people.
Right.
So everything just kind of goes. And then we hung out like the whole night. So you make friends by not being fucking annoying. And then we worked together 2 more times after that because I wasn't fucking annoying him.
Right. Right.
So not bad. Not fucking bad.
So all that and the history and the transitioning, we go down to, I guess you're now at this point, you're back on the indies because of the factor that Natalia did not like you because you were too blonde. So when you're back on the indies,
Brie Bella really liked me, but Nikki didn't. And I was like, why don't you like me? But
I'm not a fan of Nikki either, so it's all good.
yeah, apparently she doesn't get on with anyone, but everyone gets on with Brie, which is weird, but whatever. Everyone loves Brie. I'm like,
Brie looks like a down-to-earth person. The other one looks like she's full of herself. Sorry, I'll say it.
So kind. She's so sweet. And I'm like, why don't you just take a page out of your sister's book? Because everyone loves her. Like, damn.
So
she's so friendly.
So you're on the indies, you're doing your thing, you're valeting, stuff like that. Do you feel that the art of valet, so I got to ask this question, do you feel like the art of valeting is coming back a little bit more? Because if you look in the major companies, the top tier stuff, you got Scarlett Bordeaux. She valets for Karrion Kross. She doesn't know how to wrestle, but she valets for Karrion Kross. You've also got the valet factor in Impact. You've got the valet factor coming out a lot more predominantly in AEW with girls like Brandi Rhodes, who kind of comes out with Cody on a regular basis and stuff like that. So valets are kind of becoming more, I want to say mainstream again, not full-time mainstream, but there are sprinkles of them there, a lot more than there used to be. And we're also talking about a time period where women in wrestling are second to none. So it's hard to kind of have the evolution keep going forward if you bring back the art of the valet. Would you agree or disagree?
Somewhere in the middle, I would say. But on the indie scene, it is still very much a no-go. Especially if you look at flyers and posters, even if there will be women there, they're definitely not promoted. Like if there's a woman versus woman match, I mean, I don't do that. Most women don't fight me. I usually go against men, and I prefer it that way. But that's just me. But I know that I've been on countless cards where there has been a divas fight and it's not promoted. And the fan base of wrestling will probably always be predominantly men, and men like chicks. Why wouldn't you just say, hey, come see some titties? Why wouldn't you? It's just good business just to say, hey, there's gonna be some chicks. Do you want to look at topless men all day? No, there's gonna be chicks. Come pay to see a girl in whatever clothing. Give me your fucking $20. It's just good business at that point. It brings in money. Mm-hmm. Like if you have the girl advertise it on her page, people are like, what the fuck? You're gonna beat it? Let me get my fucking wallet. Like it happens all the time. Like I see my friends on the show, or on Facebook, and they're like, well, I'm gonna be there also. Hello, I'm there. And then there's all the dudes like, fuck, I didn't know that. I'm buying tickets right now. And you're like, well, if you fucking put that on the goddamn card, they would have known in the first fucking place, and they would have fucking bought the ticket. And if she didn't say nothing, it's not her job to say something. But if she said something, you just sold another ticket, or 12 or 13 or fucking 20, because she said something. and you didn't do your fucking job and say something. Fucking. And then they say women don't sell anything. And you're like, no, you didn't sell anything because you didn't say something. Like, damn. And then you have places like AEW and WWE, and then they sell women's crap. They sell like replica Divas titles and t-shirts, and it brings in funds, or the merch sells. Like, they wouldn't still have it out there if it didn't sell. And you see people in the crowd wearing the crap out of it, and you're like, well, if you were doing this the whole time, maybe all the years before wouldn't have fucking sucked. Maybe someone would have acknowledged that women existed in 2015. And you wouldn't have had such a shit show. And like WWE wouldn't have been a joke. And now they wouldn't be struggling to compete with AEW. Because even the women on there are doing better, and people are watching AEW Dark. They're going out of their way to watch it online just because there's women there. And they don't have to be wrestling, because people are watching the valets too now, and they're like, damn, she's probably gonna do something in the ring one day. Like, people look at the valets and they almost know they're gonna do something in the ring. Like, most valets used to not ever get in the ring, but now, like, you see them and you're like, she's probably gonna wrestle somebody one day. Like, maybe some aren't comfortable, or some don't have the ability, but it's good to just have a valet. Like, that could just be a thing. Like, I have a friend that's training, and she only wants to be a valet. Like, I still get in there and I still fight because I love that. But there's people who just want to valet, and that's not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I told her, you can still get in there and like throw a good slap. You don't have to be afraid to like do that. There's still some guy you're probably gonna want to hit one day.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're men. You're gonna want to hit them. This is your opportunity to smack an ass. This is it. Clap those cheeks. Do it. They're there. You know they're full of nothing but audacity. This is your opportunity.
All right. Ashley, my final question before we get to shouting out your socials, but this has been a really fun conversation. I have learned a lot about you, which is fantastic, and about your history and stuff like that. But I guess my final question and most important question to ask you now is, when it comes to your future after the surgery and after you get that spinal surgery and you're cleared to, I guess, get back into the ring, and hopefully by that time, COVID is under control. We've got the vaccine kind of circulating now. There's positives and negatives to that, all that kind of stuff.
Get your vaccine.
Yes.
Get your vaccine.
What is the goal for Ashley Slashey when you're given the green light on everything, and let's say it's well past COVID? What is the goals for you that you want to achieve in your career?
Well past COVID. Oh my gosh, I definitely want to go back to training. If people don't go to like a school to train, then you're garbage. If you think backyard wrestling is cool, you're garbage. If you think it's cool to jump in the crowd from the top rope, you're garbage. Because you haven't been trained properly. Which goes on a lot here. My friend Tommy the Moose, he runs a school in Delaware, and he posted a really good status last night, and he was like, don't practice your first fucking move in front of the crowd. Do it at a school where you can get critiqued by veterans and practice the fucking move, and don't do it in front of fans. So there's always opportunity to practice and learn. And learn from people better than you, because there's always going to be somebody better than you, no matter what. You're not the fucking Undertaker. There's always going to be somebody better than you, no matter what. Like, no matter what. There's people fucking better than you. That's it. Take your audacity and leave. There's people better than you, no matter what. That's just how it is. And if you think not, you're garbage. You got nothing. Take your audacity and go. That's it. Just, you have to train. I'm gonna train till the fucking day my arms are missing. You can take my other hand with you. Fucking, I'm just gonna keep on going. That's it. I know my skill level will never be fucking Undertaker level or whatever. I don't care. I'm self-aware enough to admit it. My brain isn't like fucking 1,000 times my hair size. My brain's not as big as my hair. Okay. Like, I know that I am never going to be at that level. So there's always room to learn. No matter what you're doing in life, there's room to fucking learn. So hopefully I will always be training and learning from people better than me. If I am teaching people lesser than me, that's fine. I have taught before, but like in-ring moves, because that's not my fucking responsibility. No one should be learning that from me. That's for a very seasoned veteran to teach, not me. That's, leave it to pros who have been places, not fucking schmucks like me. So, I mean, just train. That's it. Like, listen to people, go to as many workshops as possible, and don't do bullshit in your backyard. Ever. Don't say, hey, mom, because you're not 5. That's it.
That's
You're
a
not
perfect
5.
set of goals. That is an absolute perfect set of goals. Well, Ashley, this conversation has been very enlightening. I've had a great time. I hope you did as well. And before I go,
Thank you.
Please shout out your socials and that amazing organization you are with again, so that people can follow you.
Okay, my organization is the Band of Heroes. We are on Facebook and Instagram. I think they're both just that on both of them. I think Facebook is the Band of Heroes cosplay, and then Instagram is just the Band of Heroes. And I'm on so many fucking things.
Let's go with the basics: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Okay, Facebook, Ashley Slashey. Twitch, same thing. Instagram is the only difference. That's just Kendo Stick Butcher, because I thought it would be cool and not make me look like a simp when I try to talk to Ted Raimi. And because he does sometimes notice me. And then Twitter's the same thing. It's just Ashley Slashey. So if you just Google it, you'll probably find me. Or if you just go on Facebook, you'll find me. And then my Twitch Facebook is the Necronomicon. It's not a game guide.
Nice. Very nice.
Because it's definitely not. You will find some ancient fucking demons if you try to use that as a game guide.
Okay. That's good
Trust
to know.
me, I know.
I believe you. I'm going to take your word for it. Just because I'm a glutton for self-promotion, at Straight Talk Wrestling on Instagram and Facebook, and at _Straight Talk on Twitter. And you can also find me on YouTube as well, Straight Talk Wrestling. Ashley, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it today, and I hope to talk to you very, very soon.
Thank you for listening. Tune in next week for another episode on Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and iHeartRadio. Also follow us on Facebook at Straight Talk Wrestling, on Instagram at Straight Talk Wrestling, and on Twitter at _Straight Talk. And for all our merchandise, you can search us on ProWrestlingTees.com.